Let's get something straight. Silence is powerful. In fact, in today's dating world, where everyone is addicted to attention and validation, your silence as a man might be the most powerful tool you have. Because when you stop talking to a woman, whether she lost interest, played games, disrespected, or simply thought you'd never walk away, everything changes. Most men don't understand the gravity of going silent. They think it's just another reaction, but it's deeper than that. When you go silent, especially after being consistent, you shift the emotional dynamic. You stop feeding her ego. You stop being predictable. You stop giving her that guaranteed attention she thought she could always fall back on. And what does she do? She responds, maybe not right away. Maybe not in the way you expect. But a woman will always react when a man who used to be present suddenly vanishes. Especially if he was value, emotionally stable, and didn't beg for her attention. Whether confusion, curiosity, regret, or full-blown panic, she feels it. That's what this video is about. Not the games, but the psychological truth behind what happens in her mind when a man withdraws, not because he's weak, but because he finally understands his worth. We're going to break this down in 7 real, direct, and relatable stages. The exact things a woman will do when you stop talking to her. Some of it will surprise you. Some will confirm what you've already seen. Either way, by the end of this, you'll stop doubting your resilience and start owning it like a man. She tries to trigger you. 1. She tries to trigger you. The moment you stop talking to her, especially if you were once consistent with your attention, something happens that most men aren't prepared for. She doesn't just ignore your silence and go on with her life. No, she feels it. And for a woman who's used to being in control of your emotions, your withdrawal creates a kind of panic she doesn't always show on the surface. So, what does she do? Just trying to trigger you. That can come in a lot of forms. Maybe she suddenly posts pictures she never used to post, more revealing, more happy, more directed toward the public. She may not tag you, mention you, or say a word about you, but make no mistake, she's targeting you. She wants you to see it. She wants to get a reaction. Why? Because when you were talking, tower, your attention kept her feel validated. It gave her control. The moment you stopped talking, she lost that, and the only way to get it back is to pull you out of your silence. Now, here's the key. This stage only happens soon. She still has some kind of emotional attachment. A woman who doesn't care at all won't bother triggering anything. But when she starts cryptic quotes, acting overly happy, showing sudden confidence, or even trying to make you jealous, she's playing chess. She's poking the bear. She's trying to wake you up from the silence. Not because she wants to connect from a place of honesty, but because she wants that power back. Men who aren't aware of this usually fall into the trap. They break silence. They call, they message, they confront her about her posts, or ask what's going on, and boom, she wins. The moment you react, you hand her the power gain. It proves to her that your silence was never strength. It was disguised. But if you hold the line, if you don't engage, don't respond, and don't let her bait you, her plan starts to fall apart. She begins to question, why isn't her? Did he actually move on? Stopped caring. And that's the shift. Now she's the one emotional chasing clarity. Your silence becomes uncomfortable for her. It makes her feel uncertain, and most women hate that feeling. They want to be in but now it's slipping. So understand this. The first move she makes when you go silent is almost never sincere. It's about testing your emotional discipline. If you pass that everything that comes after becomes real. But if you fail, you go back to the same cycle of giving her attention she didn't earn. She questions her value too. She questions her value. When a man goes silent after being consistent, it shakes something deep inside a woman. You're not just you're taking away something she used to rely on to feel wanted, seen, and secure. And while she might not show it publicly, the second thing she starts to do, after trying to trigger you, is something far more personal. She starts questioning her own value. This is where it gets real. She might still smile in pictures, still post updates, still act unbothered, but inside, there's a subtle war happening. She's asking herself, why isn't Hiraki now? Wasn't I good enough? Did he lose my hold on him? Is this especially true if she was used to being chased? If you were the guy who used to always check in, reply fast, give her compliments, or try to fix things, your silence hits her like a sudden cold front. It forces her to reflect, not just in your behavior, but on herself. See, most women don't question themselves. They feel like a man is always available. They might pull away, act distant, or even lose respect, simply because they think they have you no matter what. But when you stop talking, and you don't explain yourself, you create space, and in that space Herman starts filling in the blanks. If Shess still had some emotional investment, she won't assume you're weak. She'll assume you've leveled up, that maybe you realized your worth. Maybe you're no longer willing to tolerate disrespect or breadcrumbs, and that's when doubt creeps in. She may start stalking your online presence, checking if you're reactive, if you're posting, who you're talking to. She might even reach out to mutual friends or watch your stories without saying a word. She's fishing for information without directly exposing her insecurity. Why? Because she still wants to protect their pride. But behind that pride is a woman, asking herself whether she lost a good man. Now, here's where you need toast and firm, as a man. A lot of guys, the moment they sense she's uncomfortable or regretful, start breaking their silent settle off her comfort. That's a mistake. If she's questioning her value because OFO, you reclaimed yours, that's not something you should interrupt. Let her set in that space, let her feel what it means to lose your access. That discomfort is the beginning of respect. This is the point where she starts comparing you to other men. If she tries to replace you with someone else, someone who gives her quick attention, that relationship will start to feel empty. Because once a woman gets a taste of a man who can pull away with strength, who values himself enough, toak, without chasing, it sets a new standard in her mind. Every man after you feels different, less powerful, more eager, less centered. The moment you stop talking, she may act like she's fine, but deep down, her self-worth is under review. And it's your silence making her see you and herself in a new light. She tries to reconnect casually. After she's failed to trigger you, and after quietly questioning her own value. The next thing most women will do is try to slide back into your world. Casually. And that word matters, casually. Not with a big apology. Not with full-blown accountability, but with something light, subtle, and low risk. Why? Because she doesn't want to make herself too vulnerable if you've truly moved on. So instead, she tests the waters to see if you're still emotionally available. She might text you something random. Hey, did you see that show we used Touch has a new season? Or, hey, I just saw someone who looks like you. LOL. Or even a simple, hey, hope you're good. It seems innocent. No pressure, no drama. But don't be fooled. This is a calculated move. She's not just being friendly, she's checking to see if the door is still open. This stage is tricky for a lot of men because it taps into her emotional side. You may have missed at her, you may still care. And when she finally reaches out, part of you feels validated, like your silence worked. But this is where most men fall back in death trap. They see her text and think it's a full-blown invitation, stoic pso. They respond quickly, eagerly, and emotionally. And just like that, the power dynamic flips back to her. You need to understand what this casual reach-out really means. It's not an invitation to jump back into erection. It's not a sign it's her trying to find out if she still has access to you. She wants to know, are you still emotionally to her? Are you still willing to give her attention without her earning it? Are you still that guy who can't resist smallest crumb of her presence? Your response here determines everything. If you reply instantly, you send a clear signal your silence was just a phase, not a standard. If you engage in small talk, she knows you're still hooked. But if you either don't reply or you respond later with calm, limited energy, she has to face the truth. You're not where she left you, you're not waiting, you're not desperate, you've grown. Some women, when they see their casual attempts aren't working, will go back and silence themselves. Others will double down and try harder. They'll use more personal messages, maybe even voice notes, compliments, or memories. They want to pull you back into that space where they felt safe and admired. But you must remember, if a woman wants to truly reconnect with you, it won't come in the form of, hey, stranger. It'll come with effort, clarity, and accountability. Anything less is emotional fishing. Let her reach out, let her test the waters, but don't be so thirsty for her voice it thought. You lose your position again. You didn't go silent to start over. You went silent to protect your value. She acts like she doesn't care for. She acts like she doesn't care. After trying to trigger you, after questioning her worth, after sending that light, casual message, and realizing you didn't bite the way she expected, many women switch tactics. This is where the pretty chick's in, and what does she do? She starts pretending like she doesn't care. She acts like your silence means nothing to her, like she's completely unfazed. But don't be fooled. This is one of the most emotional phases of all. Because that cold attitude is a woman trying to protect her ego from the impact of being ignored by a man she thought she had wrapped around her. This performance can take a lot of forms. She might suddenly post, as if her life is amazing. New outfits, more makeup, more selfies, exaggerated happiness. She go out with friends, more tag places she knows you've seen her in before. Or post quotes like healing, in silence, or unbothered energy. But none of this is random. She's talking to you without talking to you. She wants to reclaim the upper hand by making you believe she's unaffected by your absence. Now here's the part that messes with a lot of men. If you're emotionally weak, this stage will break you because it looks like she's moved on. It feels like she never cared. It makes you start second-guessing everything. And when that insecurity is in, most men do the worst thing possible. They come back with explanations. They message her to explain their silence. They reach out to ask how she's doing. They try to prove they didn't mean to hurt her, and just like that, she wins. Your silence had power until you handed it back to her, by needing her to know it. Wasn't that deep? But here's what you need to understand. Her acting like she doesn't care, is exact What women do when they are struggling internally but don't want to look weak. Silence makes her uncomfortable, but she's trying to mask it by flipping the script. It's not that she doesn't care, it's that she wants you to feel like the one losing. She wants you to feel like the one missing out, chasing, regretting. But deep down, that image she's projecting is hollow. She posts the picture, but she checks if you saw it. She goes out, but she's still watching your status. She pretends you're invisible, but her actions betray her every time. Now, this doesn't mean a woman who goes silent after you stop talking still wants you. But if she's doing more to show she doesn't care, if she's going out of her way to seem unbothered, that's a sign she's feeling something. Indifference doesn't deform. Real indifference is quiet. If I truly didn't care, she wouldn't bepper for your attention. But if she is putting on a show that tells you everything, the best move at this point, stay silent, stay calm, stay focused. Let her. You're not there to chase an illusion. You're there to protect your peace. She starts remembering the good times. 5. She starts remembering the good times. When the silence drags on longer than she expected and none of her tactics triggering you testing the waters or pretending not to care bring you back, something powerful begins to happen in her mind. She starts remembering the good times. But here's the key. It's not just that she remembers them. It's how she remembers them. They begin to feel more valuable than they did before. Why? Because you're no longer available. And in your absence, those moments become rarer, warmer, and more meaningful than when they were happening in real time. At first, when you stop at ecking, she may have focused only on the negative, the disagreements, your flaws, or the moments when she felt distant from you. That's normal. It's your mind trying to justify the space between you. But when you stay quiet long enough and you don't come running back to prove anything, her emotional instinct, she starts reflecting fondly. That dinner you planned, that inside joke, that time you showed up for her when she needed support, the way you listened, the way you made her feel secure, it all starts coming back, not as a list of facts, but as feelings she can't recreate with just anyone. This is where nostalgia creeps in. She might hear a song and suddenly think of you. Pass by a spot you both went to and feel that sting in her chest. She may even dream about you, and none of that is random. It's her mind trying to reconnect with something that once gave her emotional comfort. The irony is most often, those memories didn't even feel that deep at the time. But now that you're gone and you're not giving her access, they carry weight. They stand out. Because now there's distance, and distance always makes people romanticize what they no longer have. This is also how regret starts to quietly enter her heart. Regret that she didn't appreciate what you brought. Regret that she thought you'd never walk. Regret that she didn't reciprocate the way you deserved. But again, don't expect her to come out and say that directly. Most women won't. Instead, she sit with that regret quietly. She might even start to replay conversations wondering where it all went wrong. And for a man, this is one of the most powerful things to let happen naturally. Now, if you'll break your silence during this stage, you disrupt the process. You interrupt growth of that longing inside her. She has to sit with it. Let her wrestle with the emotions. Let her compare how she feels now to how she felt when you were there. Let her realize that attention is easy to find, but connection isn't. You're not just another guy in her DMS. You're a man who created something meaningful, then stepped away without needing to announce it. Your absence becomes louder than any words you could have spoken. The silence beams a mirror, and in that mirror, she sees what she had, what she lost, and maybe what she didn't value enough. She becomes emotionally confused. At this stage, your silence has now started doing something far deeper than just getting her attention. It's starting to cause emotional confusion. And let's be clear, this isn't the kind of confusion that comes from not understanding facts. This is the emotional kind. The type that hits when her heart starts feeling one thing, but her pride tells her to do something. She begins to feel emotionally installed, and that's when everything inside her starts conflicting. See, when you stop talking to a woman who was your attention, she initially feels confident. She tells herself she's in control, that she can replace you, Thatcher, just doing it for attention. But as time passes and you don't come back, those thoughts start to lose power. And what replaces them? Doubt, vulnerability, real feelings. She starts asking herself, why do I keep thinking of Booth? Why am I checking for him if I'm over it? Why does his silence affect me this much? This inner conflict creates confusion because she doesn't want to admit that your distance is making her feel something she didn't expect. Lost. She thought you'd chase. She thought your silence was just another strategy. But now it's becoming clear. You're not just silent, you're done. Or at least you're not available the way you used to be. And that terrifies her. She might start behaving erratically during this phase. One day she may send you a message trying to be friendly. The next day she may ignore your story. Then she might post something emotional. Then disappear. She's hot and cold. Not because she's playing a game anymore, but because she doesn't know how to feel, she's trying to figure out how she went from being so sure of her emotional position with you to feeling completely scantic from the control she once had. And it's not just about you, it becomes about her identity. Women gain confidence when they feel emotionally dominant in a connection, but your silence removed that dominance. You didn't fight, you didn't explain, you didn't chase. That quiet withdrawal has created a vacuum that her ego can't fill, and it eats at her because now she feels like she's losing to a man who isn't even playing the game anymore. This emotional confusion can last days, weeks, or even longer depending on how real your connection was. She might even try to it by blaming you and Herman, telling herself you were cold or selfish or emotionally distant. But Olaf, that is just her trying to defend herself. Against the emotional truth, your silence hit her harder than she thought it would. And here's the important part. You must stay grounded. If you react during this time, even if it's just to check in or soften Thessalons, she regained clarity. The confusion will end, not because she understood things better, but because you handed her emotional control. Again, confusion, when left undisturbed, creates breakthroughs. If you want her to see you differently, to feel something deeper, to reflect on what shellist, don't interrupt the storm. Let her feel every piece of that emotional weight. Because that confusion, it's the beginning of something real. She finally reaches out with vulnerabilities, Evan. She finally reaches out with vulnerability. After all the games, the silence, the pretending, the reflection, and the emotional confusion. If she still cares, something eventually breaks inside her. And what breaks is wall of pride. This is when a woman truly feels your absence. Doesn't just try to get your attention with hints or casual messages. She finally reaches out with vulnerability, and that's how you know the shift is real. But this doesn't happen early. It doesn't come after a few days of no talking. This happens only after she's gone through the emotional cycle of realizing that she lost something valuable. And more importantly, that you're no longer easy to reach. Vulnerability is not a woman's first move in most cases, it's her last resort. It's what shows up when Thessalons has created so much reflection and emotion that she can no longer pretend. She reaches out because her pride definitely takes a back seat to her desire for connection. This message will sound different. It's not vague, it's not cold, it's not something like, hey, just checking in. No, it will have softness in it. It will carry emotion. She might say something like, I miss talking to you, or I've been thinking about you a lot, or even, I feel like we left things unresolved. And if she's really feeling the loss, she may admit to her mistakes. She might say she regrets how things played out. She may open the door emotionally, practically. Now, this is where most men get too excited and jump in full speed. And that's understandable, especially if you still have feelings. But you need to understand one thing. This moment is not where you start over. This is where you slow down and observe. Just because she reached out doesn't mean she's ready to give you the relationship you deserve. Vulnerability is powerful, yes, but it must be followed by consistency, effort, and accountability. You're not looking for one emotionalness, you're looking to see if her words match long-term behavior. So when she reaches out like this, don't ignore her. That's ego. But don't throw yourself back in like nothing happened either. That's desperation. Instead, meet her with calm energy. Respond, but don't overgive. Listen, but don't over-explain. Keep your standards. Let her feel that you're open but different. Let her know that the version of you she knew before is no longer on standby, waiting to be picked again. You've grown, you've changed. And now she has to meet you where you are, not where you used to be. If she truly wants to reconnect, she'll be patient. She'll be honest. She'll show up again and again. And if she doesn't, then her vulnerability wasn't about you. It was about soothing herself for a moment. Either way, your job as a man is to stay grounded. Respond like a man who values himself, not a boy who just wants attention. Again, conclusion: when you stop talking to a woman, it's not just silence, it's a message. A message that says, I value my Zolfino, to walk away from confusion, disrespect, or games. And that message is harder than any words ever could. If she truly cared, your silence will trigger reflection, emotional shifts, and maybe even genuine vulnerability. But your strength lies in not reacting out of weakness. Stay calm and stay focused on your worth, because the right woman won't just notice your silence.